What's good, YouTube?
What's good, YouTube? I'm your host, Simo. John Moore is off for the week. Let's get right into the Market Watch. Starting off with this week's headlines, we have Spiral Super Agent spiraling out of control that is now currently sitting at a $28 card. We also have super rare copies of Quickfix still holding steady at $7 to $8 a copy as well. Now, this is no surprise because over in the OCG, if you've noticed anything at all, spirals are currently dominating over 75% of the meta, and the deck is just absolutely savaging everything in its fucking path. So this is something you're definitely going to want to keep your eye on. I'm not sure if Spiral Super Agent's really going to eclipse the point that it's achieved so far, but it's definitely possible since Spiral Super Agent only has one printing, and if people manage to keep the supply low, demand is going to go high. Same thing goes for your super quick fixes. However, there is a cheaper alternative. If you want to buy the pleb rare version, that is also available to you as well for pennies on the dollar. Moving on though to more hype, BLs of the Diabolical Dragons is sitting at $42 a copy with one rogue copy that just came up unlimited near mint for $29. Someone's probably gonna snatch it up real quick, probably before I even get finished editing this video, but that doesn't matter because BL's hype is real, and the reason for that is because Pendulum Magician is one of, if not the dominant deck of the format. Pendulum Magician has proven that it can just pretty much dominate in this meta up until we get the release of Circuit Break and some other future sets as well, but that's also holding true because if you look at the best-selling cards on TCG Player, you'll notice that all of the cards, if not most of them, are all Pendulum Magician cards that come straight out of Pendulum Evolution, which is causing the prices to rise, and now those cards that were super cheap maybe a month ago are now going to cost you anywhere from $2 to $3 a copy, sometimes even $4 to $5 a copy if you're talking about cards like Performer Pal Skullcrobat Joker, as well as Pendulum Call. Now, also on the note of Pendulum Magician's, Duelist Alliance is now back down to $11 a copy, but one thing you need to keep in mind with Duelist Alliance is do not fucking buy that card, because the reason for that is later on this upcoming week, the Legendary Dragon decks are going to be released in full force, and each set of Legendary Dragon decks comes with 2 copies of Duelist Alliance in a common printing. Now, obviously it's not as shiny as the $11 copy that currently exists on the market, but if you're looking to get it really cheap because you want to play Pendulum Magician on a budget, definitely wait out a week, especially if you don't have any tournaments or anything like that coming up. You're definitely going to want to hold out for this because that copy of Duelist Alliance in the Legendary Dragon decks is going to be cheap as shit. Now, moving on to some other highlights from the week that are just completely out of fucking nowhere. Ultimate Rare Battle Fader is currently sitting at $30. Now, if someone wants to explain to me why the fuck Ultimate Rare Battle Fader is $30, I would really love to hear it because I've been in the lab trying to figure this one out. Usually there might be some indication of why this card, or why any card for that matter, really spikes, but this one is just completely out of nowhere. The last time this card spiked was back during when it was used in a YCS and basically won the guy a match in the top 32 of that YCS. So then everyone proceeded to buy out Battle Fader during Monarch format, and Monarch players were actually citing it just because they wanted to live up to the hype, like their Monarch player that they so very idolized. But it came back down and now it's spiking back up to high heavens. Who knows why? If you guys know, please let me know down in the comments below. Moving on to some other more meta-relevant cards. Spellbooks are cards that are still extremely expensive if you're looking for that shiny max rarity. Spellbook of Secrets Ultimate Rare, the lowest copy available is $28. Blue Boy is sitting at $26. And Spellbook of Knowledge, even though it was hyped last week, has now come and settled back down at $15. That's really good because before, Spellbook of Knowledge bought out and it was now a $25 card, but now it's come and settled back down at $15, which is a much more reasonable price. But you were able to pick these up for $10 before. It only has one printing and it just came out in Code of the Duelist, so if you're planning on playing any deck that's going to utilize the Spellbook engine like True Draco Spellbooked, Invoke Spellbook, hell, even Paleozoic can utilize the Spellbook engine as well, that's something you might want to consider investing in. But when it comes to Secrets and Blue Boy, you can get the Battles of Legend copies. They still look pretty good, and the Secrets is only $1.50 and Blue Boy's only coming in for $1. Now moving on to hand trap news, we have Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring still coming in at a major $70, still the most expensive card in the current format. Then you also have Droll and Lockbird coming in at $19 just for the rare and $22 for the super rare. You've got Ghost Reaper coming in at $9 and steadily increasing, by the way, because of its popularity in the OCG to help combat spirals as well as some other decks as well. And then also Psy-Frame Gear Gamma coming in at $12 as well. These are some cards you definitely want to keep your eyes on because if the format evolves to the point that's very indicative of the OCG, where you're seeing players in the OCG maining anywhere from 9 to 13 hand traps in the main deck to help combat spirals, then these are cards that are definitely going to continue to rise in price. Ash Blossom still only has one printing, and if you guys remember before the ban list, you were able to pick up copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring for around $40, if not less, and now the price is nearly doubled just because of the sheer demand and pretty much how utilitarian this card is in its application in the metagame. Then you also got Droll and Lockbird, which, although is pretty much popular due in part to the Trickstar Reincarnation combo, it also is very effective against the Spiral matchup, and here in the TCG, it's still an effective tool against True Draco as well, since True Draco Demise is still a thing, so that's also something you want to keep in mind as well. Ghost Reaper is something you might want to consider investing in because this is a card that's only going to increase in price because it seems to be a very effective tool in combating the Spiral matchup. A lot of players in the OCG are main decking 3 copies because they can hit the Spiral double helix, and then basically that just ruins Spiral's day entirely. But in our meta, you can also use it to combat ABC, which ABC is still a very formidable deck, and you can pretty much hit Dragon Buster immediately and turn ABC into essentially a walking rank 4 toolbox of a deck, which is very lackluster in our current meta, and also hitting Darklaw, which we're going to be discussing towards the end of this video as well. And then as for Gamma, you guys kind of missed the boat on Gamma if you don't already have them. It only has its one copy printing out of High Speed Riders, and now it's only going to continue to rise if the demand requires it to, because this is an incredibly powerful card and an incredibly powerful hand trap because not only are you able to stop any effect, you're able to also potentially summon a Psy-Frame Lord Omega off of it as well, which is just an incredibly powerful combination, granted everything going on in the current metagame. And speaking of Psy-Frame Lord Omega, Psy-Frame Lord Omega is hanging steady at about $9 to $10. The original copies out of High Speed Riders have come down. I believe now they're about $16 if you're looking to pick up one of the original copies, although the Battles of Legend copies still look pretty damn good in my opinion. In any case, it's a card you definitely want to make sure you have at least one copy on hand, but if you're looking to play decks that can just spam and abuse Psy-Frame Lord Omega like anything that uses Shiranui, you're definitely going to want to make sure you have all 3 copies because this is a card that's very prone to spiking in the near future. Now, another card I wanted to discuss is Set Rotation. If you guys weren't aware, Set Rotation is currently $2.23 a copy. So if you happen to have a lot of copies of Set Rotation lying around, you basically are sitting on a bunch of $2 bills. So you might want to dig those up and start moving them while you can. This is due in part because of the card's popularity in the OCG. They do only have 1 terraforming, so the card's a lot more popular, but it's pretty much another copy of Terraforming if you think about it, so something you might want to consider either getting your hands on, or if you have a bunch of copies of it, you might want to consider dumping them while it's still at that price. And last but not least, I wanted to discuss Heroes. Now, Heroes are a deck that a lot of players are considering using to combat Spirals when Spirals do eventually go full power here in the TCG, and the reason for that is because Darklaw just absolutely shits on the deck, and the market is reflecting this. Ultimately, Ultimate Rare Dark Laws are actually steadily going up in price. They are now $28, up from $23, and that's actually a pretty big deal because that means that there's some movement and people are trying to gain some traction on this and try to stay ahead of the game. If you also didn't know, Elemental Hero Honest Neos is also an $8 card as well. So again, if you're looking to maybe play heroes in the future, you might want to start investing in those high rarity cards before they spike up in price. But guys, this has been your Market Watch. My name is Simo. John Moore will be back soon, so I really hope I could help do his justice and help fill his shoes. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. Be sure to hit that like button. If you enjoyed my content, be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and we'll see you next time.